The total downside of letting your dog ride in your car all the time. Definitely will not happen when I have a new car. What's going on, guys? David here. So whether you're a young kid who's looking for their first car and you don't have a lot of money, or maybe you're just looking for a project car, we're always searching for relatively cheap cars that go fast. Now, they're not going to be very reliable. They might not be very good in the winter. In fact, I don't think any of these would be good in the winter. But today we're going to talk about the best cars that I think that you can purchase today for under $10,000. The first on my list, while trying to not be biased because I own a Mustang myself, would be the 2005 to 2009 Mustang GT. It is a rear-wheel drive muscle car. You get a 4.6 liter V8 producing 300 horsepower and 320 feet-pound of torque. That's a lot of power. It's gonna lack a lot in the handling. They are not good handling cars, but if you're looking for something raw power, it goes to 0 to 60 in I think a little over 5 seconds. So it's really not a bad car. In the interior, it's cheap, but for that price point, the interior is actually pretty nice. I wouldn't diss it until you actually see it. It's not that bad. You're not gonna find interior super good for under $10,000. So I think for the price point, the interior is actually not bad. It's got a lot of horsepower. It's totally impractical in the winter and things like that. But as car guys, we make compromises. Now, the second car on my list, while slower than the Mustang, is going to be leaps and bounds better in the handling department. The Porsche Boxster, I believe the year's 96 to 04. You can actually find one of these for under $10,000. And while it produces less horsepower, it has a 2.5 liter engine producing 200 horsepower and 180 foot-pound of torque, which is okay, but the handling is going to be so much better. And by the way, the 0 to 60 on that I think is 6.7 seconds. So it is a significant difference against the Mustang, but the Mustang is confined to a straight line, whereas if you want to enjoy the back roads a lot more, you want to track the car or autocross or anything like that, the Porsche Boxster is going to do a much better job. The Porsche Boxster is, however, very difficult to find depending on your area. Some areas it's very easy to find them, other areas it is incredibly hard, and in certain areas they're actually more expensive too. So if you are in the market for a Porsche Boxster, you kind of have to be in the right area in order to get one easily for under $10,000, but it's totally possible. Now, this next car is a little bit of a stretch. I wasn't sure if I was going to put it on the list, but after a little bit of research, I did find a few for under $10,000, but it is a very hard find and they can be very pricey. But it is the C5 Corvette, specifically the ones from 97 to 04, I believe. I think that's when they made the C5. If I'm wrong, go ahead and correct me in the comments. But that has the 5.7 liter V8 rear-wheel drive, just like the Mustang, 350 horsepower, a little over 350 foot-pounds of torque, and a 0 to 60 time of 5.4 seconds, I believe. So technically on paper, the 0 to 60 time is actually slower than the Mustang, but the C5 Corvette is so much more refined, and I think that it's actually faster than the Mustang. So if I had to choose out of the three that I've mentioned so far, it would be the C5 Corvette, but it is a very hard find. Like I said, it's not going to be an easy one. You're going to have to be patient. You're going to have to look hard. Good luck. Now, this next car could possibly be the most practical that I've mentioned so far because it is all-wheel drive, but it is the 2004 to 07 Subaru WRX STI. It has a 2.5 liter turbocharged engine and produces about 300 horsepower and 300 foot-pounds of torque. So it's actually less than the C5 Corvette and the Mustang, but it does have a lower 0 to 60 time at 4.9 seconds, being that it is all-wheel drive. So it's actually a much more practical car on the street, especially if you are driving this in the winter. You're going to have a little bit of a better time driving this than you would a fully rear-wheel drive car, which the rear end can kick out very easily. So yeah, WRX STI, very good car. That kind of performance, the power, the all-wheel drive for under $10,000, again, could be a little bit of a push, but you definitely can find these cars. I've been finding them locally here, even in Pennsylvania. Not too hard to find, but definitely the most practical so far, and you would have a lot of fun in them. All-wheel drive, pretty practical, not too shabby. Now, breaking away from our conventional vehicles, we have one with a rotary engine, which is the Mazda RX-7, as you probably guessed as soon as I said rotary engine. And from 91 to 2002, you can get these cars. They have a 1.3 liter rotary engine, and it produces 270 horsepower, which is just bizarre for a little 1.3 liter engine, but it is rotary, not a piston engine. So they're very unique. They produce about 230 feet-pound of torque, if I'm not mistaken, and their 0 to 60 time is somewhere around 5.7 seconds. But it's just bizarre that from such a small rotary engine, you can get so much power, and they are really, really cool cars. I recommend you guys check them out. They're definitely different. They're not standard. You don't see them every day, so yeah. And the last car I'm probably going to mention is the Nissan 350Z. From 03 to 09, I believe. They were actually very comparable to the Mustangs. It actually was a pretty big debate. They do have 300 horsepower that is produced by a 3.5 liter V6. They have about 275 pound of torque, and it is starting to rain harder. There's a storm coming in. They do 0 to 60 in 5.1 seconds. It's very comparable to the Mustang. It's definitely a totally different style though. One's a Nissan, one's a Ford, one's a muscle car, one's not really a muscle car. I've seen people do really cool things to 350Zs. I've seen some really cool project cars where people put turbos on them or twin turbos. They're really cool cars. You know, Nissan's not all that bad. They are very, very cool cars for the price point. All of these cars are very cool for being under $10,000, don't get me wrong. But the Nissan 350Z has always looked very, very nice to me. I actually wanted one instead of a Mustang, but the Mustang ended up being cheaper. But, you know, and an honorable mention that you're probably not going to get for under $10,000, but possibly very, very close. And I have seen people get them for less than $10,000, but you know, it's even harder than the C5. Good luck doing it. But the Honda S2000, most of you probably know the specs on that car. If not, I don't really know the specs on that car. You know, you guys can look that one up. But I've heard that they are really, really cool cars, but they are really hard to find for under $10,000. And I'm not even going to try to dig up the specs because, you know, this video is about cars that are under $10,000, and, you know, the S2000 really isn't under $2,000. But, you know, I figured it deserved an honorable mention because I've seen people say that you can get them for under $10,000, but I don't know how accurate that is. I don't think that you really can. If you do, that's awesome, but I think that if you were to find one for under 10 grand, it's either going to have an absurd amount of miles on it, or it's going to have been in an accident or something. But I do think that if you had $14,000 or $15,000, you could find a pretty good one with relatively low miles. So that's my honorable mention. All right, guys, that will be it for this upload. Just a short little list style video. It is a rainy day in Pennsylvania today. As you've heard, there's a storm going on. There's not much to do. So, you know, I'm just kind of pulled over in the Dunkin' Donuts parking lot, which, by the way, is fucking awesome. Making a video because, you know, I'm bored. So like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, and leave a comment down below, start a discussion, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.